Stardew Valley's 1.6 update just released, and many of our once social friends have lost their 20-minute coin of Stardew sobriety they've had for so long. Now, this game is a marvel in the relaxing sim-based genre, but it leaves a lot unpacked, something to be asked about. In Stardew, there's an existence of magical spirits and shamanism, galactic aliens, wars that infer radical bloodshed, all wrapped up in a neat little happy farming sim-shaped bow. And that's not even to mention what this all insinuates for Haunted Chocolatier. Hi! Thanks so much for letting me borrow your screen. My name's Oridont. I think this world kinda sucks, so let's build a new one. Stardew Valley boasts an expansive world with not only magical forces such as forest spirits, wizards, witches, but political forces at war and interplanetary life. Though the main game is captivating in of itself, there's a ton of world building intertwined into its inner workings. From random dialogue speaking of faraway places to hidden notes scattered throughout the underground. We play somewhere called Pelican Town, a part of a province called Stardew Valley, nested within the Ferngill Republic, and we're about a dot in the greater world here. How big, really, is the world of Stardew Valley? Stardew Valley is an indie farming sim game developed by Eric Baroni, or Concerned Ape. It's known for being relaxing, escape from lifestyle experience where you take over Grandpa's farm and just kinda do whatever makes you happy. In the introduction to Stardew, you are seen working for a mega corporation called JojaMart, seemingly like the in-world Walmart pretty much. When your grandfather passes away, he leaves you with the deed to a farm somewhere in a place called Pelican Town, where you get a chance to start a new life. Now, there's one thing I do want to mention about JojaMart in specific, because when you play the game, JojaMart is in Pelican Town. It is a mega corporation, specifically one conflicting with Pierre's shop, which is the local seller there. I think it's kind of cool. Like, you'd expect that there's like a standard narrative here where you just beat up JojaMart because they suck, but you can actually join them and they serve their purposes. It's kind of wild. Concerned Ape mentioned in some interviews that he based some of the game's assets on the Pacific Northwest, where he graduated from, as it has grand diversity in flora and fauna, and this really does a good job of giving the game a level of charm and authenticity. I am also from the Pacific Northwest, so I am legally cool by proxy. The game ended up with some serious thematic leads that don't really end anywhere conclusive. If you were to get full perfection in Stardew Valley, you'd more than likely be left with a lot of questions as to where things came from, where we are geographically, and who these other members of the world we hear about are. One of the examples of missing lore lines is from the romance mechanic. The game has about a dozen bachelors and bachelorettes that you can enter a relationship with, getting a special set of dialogues and cutscenes based on that individual's history. Some NPCs are not romanceable, such as Robin, unfortunately, but still have their own cutscenes based on how close you get with them. The interpersonal conflicts you find around them runs deep. One example is the relationship between Marnie and Lewis. Lewis is the mayor of Pelican Town and an all-around hated individual in the Stardew Valley community. Okay, Stardew has a lot of people, a lot of villagers that everybody hates, like, by default. For instance, Mayor Lewis and Clint the blacksmith, which I find absolutely hilarious, honestly. I don't think that this is 100% warranted all the time, but I do find it absolutely hilarious. Like, honestly, like, Clint is doing his best, dude. He has done nothing wrong. We just decided to hate him one day, and everyone just agreed that that's the thing that we're gonna do. But he is an absolute gem of society. He's trying. Lewis kind of sucks. He literally built a giant golden statue of himself. No, I don't like him very much. But Clint's a good guy. As the game grew and developed, we were introduced to our first location outside of Pelican Town, Ginger Island. This was a massive update, and our first look into a world outside of our little hometown. This island specifically is centered around a volcano with some especially interesting figures that we'll get more into later in the video. But the game's mysteries don't stop there. No, not even close. In the beginning screen of the game, if you spam click the E in the title, it'll open like a door revealing an alien that just disappears into the fog. By itself, this seems like a cute little Easter egg until we bring up the alien capsule event. Stardew has a random event mechanic that can happen between days while the player is sleeping. There's a very small chance that, in year 1, you'll get the strange capsule event. A sound that's titled UFO will play and you'll get a prompt, "A strange sound was heard that night." After this happened, an item will appear on your farm called Strange Capsule, and given you don't keep it either in a chest or in your inventory, after 3 days it'll turn into an empty Strange Capsule, and the sprite will be changed with broken glass. After this happens, a shadowy figure can be seen darting around the bus stop, as well as behind trees and bushes. This is one of several unsolved mysteries thrown on top of the stack with the meteorite and the stone owl event. To further flesh out the high conceptual nature of this game, we meet and communicate with several non-human creatures, including a race of shadow people, one of which is almost romanceable. Dwarves, that of which we have to uncover 4 dwarven scrolls to be able to speak to, and Junimos, the aiding forest spirits of this world, kind of shaped like apples. Yoba is something that definitely should be also taken into consideration. Yoba is a worshipped deity in this universe, and certain NPCs have small mementos built in Yoba's image. Specifically, this image. Symbols to this deity can also be found in Haunted Chocolatier, Concerned Ape's next scheduled game, and that alone changes everything. Before getting too far into Haunted Chocolatier and what all Concerned Ape is thinking about, I want to remind you to subscribe. Don't forget that. Stop. Next week's video is going to be about the vault, which you probably don't know what that means, but figure it out. Subscribe. Just subscribe. It's important to keep in mind that Stardew Valley was created by one person, and it was never designed to be as popular as it is today. It's more than possible that Concerned Ape wasn't really ready to flesh out the full expansiveness of this in-game universe, but he's done much to show that he plans to, at least to some extent. Footprints of this are shown in several updates, including the new 1.6 release. It's easy to tell that Stardew is full of mysticism and wild ideas where animals talk, magic meets the human world, and aliens make cameos here and there. I would say virtually nothing is off the table. Let's look into some of the ways that the 1.6 updates affected the game. I'm not including cosmetic and mechanical features that were added, so we'll make this a quick overview of the portions that matter in this context. We received a new type of growable tree, the 4th non-fruit bearing variety, the Mystic Tree. Its sap can be used to create a treasure totem, the first totem that doesn't teleport the player. Ancient fruit can now be jellified, making the seemingly toxic to humans ancient jelly. This can be consumed, offering the player an insane energy boost of -1500, aka you pass out instantly. So ancient fruit is kind of a weird topic to me in general, honestly, because it's never discussed what an ancient fruit really is. An ancient fruit is by far the most profitable, right next to star fruit and maybe some other possible contenders. But realistically, ancient fruit is just a blue fruit of some type. And when we got ancient jelly, this was the first time that we got a single realistic characteristic of it. I mean, you die? You don't die, but it's very toxic to consume. What is an ancient berry and why is it important? Now, I do want to mention there is one prompt. If you attempt to place it in a garden pot, it'll prompt you and say, her roots grow very deep. She wouldn't be happy there. Which is also, super weird. Is this a part of, some celestial body? Are ancient fruit a part of, some kind of celestial being? The Mystic Tree kind of seems to fall in a similar category, especially with the theme of blue. Blue definitely seems to have this idea of, ancient mysticism in Stardew Valley, so I want to say they're probably connected in some way, but it's really hard to tell. We can now dehydrate fruits and mushrooms, offering us the advancement of raisins, something derived from dehydrating grapes. We've learned now that Raisin Bran is the Junimo's favorite cereal, aka we can put raisins in a Junimo hut to increase crop production. There is now a new traveling merchant, the bookseller. Books can be bought or bartered for other items, but these tomes specifically hold powerful abilities that stay with the player forever once read. This specific seller appears twice a month via hot air balloon. There is now a new JojaMart member named Fizz who sells perfection waivers at the low price of $500,000 each. These increase your perfection percentage artificially by 1% per waiver received. I'm not even really sure how this works, but okay. I mean, that theoretically means that perfection is an in-world mechanic, people inside the world, which is already known kind of through Key, and that's a whole conversation unto itself, but the idea of perfection is known in-world, and so much so that some megacorp goon can sell you waivers for it? What does that mean? And my personal favorite of it all, Green Rain. Once per year, there will be a Green Rain event, of which none of the villagers seem to have been aware of. When it happens the first time, town members will gather in the saloon, some being scared enough to speak of it as the potential end times. Linus, the only homeless resident of Pelican Town, and George, our stereotypical mean old man, have gotten some interesting new dialogues from this weather. George admits to being a part of the coal mining operations, assumingly outside of Pelican Town, given there isn't really a coal mine here. There are mines, but there are no coal nodes or ores that can be harvested. Now, I do want to say that there are coal carts in the mines that lead out of the mines, but there's no saying where they go to, which would be kind of interesting to think that maybe there is a coal transport system that leads outside of Pelican Town. Linus says, while some villagers are in hazmat suits and others are scared of potential apocalypse, that this green rain is good for the forest and stands outside openly, basking in it. There's a lot of interesting things to take away from this. If year one is the first time it happens, I feel that it'd be fair to assume that our introduction into this town had to be a part of what caused it. Linus has very little known history, and his awareness of this proves that it's happened at some point in the past. He is likely much more substantial than we ever considered him before. Specifically, after year one, we meet another NPC named Ken, returning home from a Great War. We know that this is specifically the war between the Ferngil Republic, where Stardew Valley resides, and the Gotaro Empire. This is a huge amount of geographical and political expansion that this game has offered in just a little bit of character development. And it's easy to set politics aside, but we've met even the governor of Stardew Valley. It seems like the political scope of this game makes an awful lot of cameos throughout its events and smaller features. You can also feed the governor the mayor's pants, which is pretty cool, honestly. But there's one thing that really ties this all together for me: the traveling merchants. There are two main traveling merchants, one being the aforementioned bookseller and the other being aptly titled the traveling merchant. Both of these salespeople are only available on predetermined calendar days, meaning they travel to other locations to accumulate and sell their wares. This leaves me with more questions than virtually anything else. Where else do they go? How many other places do they go? Do they stay with Stardew Valley's limits, or do they reach beyond that, perhaps to the Gotaro Empire? The traveling merchants are perhaps some of our most tangible sources for a world outside of Pelican Town, or perhaps even Stardew Valley itself. There's obviously a greater lore that Stardew seems to deal with, and as the updates roll out, we can see just glimpses of more and more of this expansive landscape. I mean, the traveling merchant is on wheels, which means there is a dedicated path to go somewhere else. What does this mean for Concerned Ape's next game, Haunted Chocolatier? It shares a lot of stylistic and mechanical similarities to Stardew Valley, maneuvering seemingly into a tycoon-style sim rather than a farming sim, offering storefront customization options and having a deeper focus on combat. Narratively, it's likely a part of the same universe, and we know this because of a shield with Yoba's symbol on it, meaning that a religious belief carries between each game. This is the greatest question: where does this take place? It could either be another town within Stardew Valley, another province within the Ferngil Republic, or most excitingly, an area within the Gotaro Empire. That last one is exhilarating because we know that these two nations are at war with each other, and the amount of expansion we'll have access to is monumental. Now that the 1.6 update is out for Stardew Valley, Concerned Ape mentioned working on Haunted Chocolatier, updates seemingly likely in the near future. With its edgier undertones in comparison, maybe we'll get to see some of the darker underbelly that exists within this universe. The new game has been in development for about 3 years or so now, and people have asked many questions on the topic. He made an active announcement that he would halt progress for a bit to work on the 1.6 update for Stardew, and this tells me something. I'd hazard to say that he was constructing more stable parallels between the two games. Stardew is a game with a plethora of hidden features and Easter eggs. We see villagers that appear after returning from war, those burdened by the memories of coal mines and ancient magics, and interpersonal relations with all kinds of subcontext. Though our leads don't travel too far quite yet, as little pieces fall into place, the world only gets bigger, and it'll be moments before Haunted Chocolatier is released and expands the map to tremendous sizes. We got a vast glimpse into the spiritual and magical world of Stardew Valley, but not more than a glimpse into the intergalactic ramifications of aliens, or the volatility of politics within this world. How big, really, is the world of Stardew Valley? Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. What do I normally say? If you liked it, try to check out one of the things on screen. Go ahead and click on one of them. They're perfectly made just for you, so I know you like them. Don't even worry about it. Don't even think about it. Button on the left if you want to see a video that YouTube told me specifically in my ear that you would like. Or button on the right if you want to check out the full playlist of video essays just like this one. And of course, thanks.